back in 2009 and I was training for the Edinburgh Marathon. 11 weeks into an 18-week training programme, been for a run that Monday morning. Everything fine, went to bed that evening and never woke up. I was dead for approximately 15 minutes.
That was triathlete Sean Rogers' first experience of cardiac arrest. After being in a coma for a week, he had a defibrillator fitted and suffered a further sudden death experience. But that will not stop him in his tracks. The thought of dying at any moment is one he has now come to accept.
I spent 6 months absolutely devastated. You think your life's over and you go through all the emotions of what have you done wrong. You go back looking at things. Have I trained wrong? Have I been eating wrong? Have I been drinking too much? I've never smoked. It's the why me question. What have I done to deserve it?
There are over 180 marathons and half marathons every year. In 2009 alone, 200,000 Britons took up amateur athletics. There are now 1.8 million amateur athletes in the UK. But what can people do to prepare for marathons and minimise the risk of heart problems? We asked an experienced personal trainer.
They're learning the fitness industry, the fitness game properly, which is very important. You know, like everything else, once you start to learn things, then you can build onto that. And like I've just said, really, a lot of these people, you know, this footballer, the Bolton footballer, unfortunately, you know, nobody knew. I mean, look at all the screening he had. He was a professional sportsman, and he suddenly drops down. And you know, fortunately, he lived. But whatever screening you can do, sometimes you just can't do enough.
1 in 300 athletes in the UK suffers from a genetic disorder. Sudden cardiac arrests affect 1 in 50,000 Britons every year. 60 people annually die from preventable cardiac issues. To find out more, we went to St George's in London, one of the best cardiological research hospitals in the UK, to speak to Sanjay Sharma. He's medical director of the London Marathon, as well as an advisor on cardiac problems at the English Institute of Sport.
There are two groups of individuals where you don't often see deaths. You don't see them in the creme de la creme top elite athletes who are nationally ranked. They go through without any problems, and you don't see them in the tail end Buffalo or Batman and Robin and those types of people who are enjoying themselves on costumes, because they don't go very fast. The risk is the males that are at the 4-hour mark who are trying to break into the 3-hour region. These are people that are pretty good runners, that are pushing it just a bit too hard on the day. They're the ones that are most at risk. In fact, if we look at the London Marathon experience of sudden deaths, we've seen 11 deaths in 32 years, 10 in males, 1 in female. Almost all of those deaths have occurred in relatively good runs.
Marathon running is growing in popularity, and the Sheffield Half Marathon is no different, attracting a record number of runners for this year's race. It's competition at events like this that contributed to deaths in the Reading Half and London Marathon events. Ultimately, it's the responsibility of the runners to stay safe. But when the training is over, the starting gun's fired and the crowd starts cheering, what can organisers do to prevent people getting themselves into trouble and help those who are struggling?
We have 10 ambulances we pay for at various points around the course. We've 6 paramedics on bicycles cycling around the course continually, all in radio contact, can rush to a point very, very quickly. So we try and take every precaution. We've plenty of first aid helpers around the course. We have in the stadium a dedicated team watching them finish.
The winner got round the course in a time of 68 minutes. We spoke to a young runner who completed his first half marathon.
Did you feel that you were pushing your heart there today?
Oh yeah, definitely, especially the last few miles or so. Could really feel it going, and for some reason I decided to sprint as we came into the stadium to try and cut those last few seconds off, which I'm really regretting I did now.
I'm here at Sheffield Half Marathon, which has seen over 7,000 amateur athletes compete today. Fortunately, no one has experienced or suffered from any cardiac problems. But if they did, there are dozens of medics on hand to make sure they are treated quickly and brought to a hospital if needs be.
No one wants to put people off exercising, but clearly the risks of sudden heart attacks mean extreme exercise is something that shouldn't be taken lightly.